I'd like to call the Tuesday, May 21st Board of Public Works and Safety meeting to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Jess Bruder, lead the way. Spare chest.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Splorchek. Spoljaric. Jeez, I got to try. I apologize. I'll have to move our LEAP championship trophy over so you can all see us. The city of LaPorte will keep it for another year. Yes, absolutely. It says TROPHY. Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Public comment, anything? Clerk Treasurer Parthun, claims approval.
We have civil city payroll in the amount of $535,348.89.
I move to approve the civil city payroll.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Civil city claims in the amount of $288,756.89.
I move we approve the civil city claims.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Sewage claims, $108,596.70.
I move we approve the sewage claims.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Water claims, $427,813.55.
I move we approve the water claims.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Will that be all? Department head reports, brief, to the point. Craig Phillips, plan.
Good morning. Work continues on several fronts with regard to various housing projects and seeking grants and other incentives for that, as well as I mentioned before, we have kicked off our comprehensive plan, citywide comprehensive plan and transportation plan efforts, so a lot of work is going to be going into that. And I think those are the big things right now that we're working on. So a lot of focus on grants, housing, and the forward growth of the community. So,
Thank you. Mark Schreiber, Parks.
Morning. Just want to introduce the community and everybody, Board of Works, to our new Recreation Director, Cole Smith. He started on Thursday, so obviously hitting the ground running as a lot of our spring programs are up and running, and summer is, we're well into the planning phase, but I'll let Cole just tell you a little bit about himself.
Cole, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. First off, I want to say thank you for everyone that I've spoke to so far for the warm welcome to LaPorte. Amazing town. I've got to go around a little bit and see the amazing things you have here. Very excited for to be a part of this and the amazing things you guys have going here. So thank you.
That we have, you're part of the team now.
Yes, true. We know.
Questions for Cole?
Please.
Where are you from, Cole?
Originally from Southern Illinois, tiny little town, like 1,200 people. So it's called Louisville. But yeah, excited to be here now and part of this community.
Happy you found us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very happy.
welcome.
Thank you.
Mark, you warned them about mayor and basketball, right? Like at the Civic League.
Does this not say enough?
Yeah,
I mean,
Every recreation director inherits that file, so
it's
he's got the file.
Welcome. We look
Thank you.
forward to big stuff out of you.
absolutely, yes.
Tim Warner, Water.
Thank you and good morning. I just wanted to let everybody know that we will be starting, we finally got a drill date of June 13th or June 3rd, I'm sorry, for the Soldier Memorial Well field that will be starting. There'll be drill rig and water truck out there. Right now they're just punching the well, so there will be no construction of the road being tore up or any of the ground. It'll just be a borehole to make sure that we can get the right pumping equipment, on order for what the wells are gonna produce. That same week, we'll also be starting a water main project for 18th Street development. Our NOI will be good. I think it's June 2nd, so that week we'll also be starting that project. Other than that, the crews are just getting ready for some of our other main projects, Park Street, tying in some dead ends. We're heading into construction season, so here we go. That's all I have this morning.
Jerry Jackson, wastewater.
We got about a half an inch of rain last night in about 25 minutes. Some places we got.
Oh, hit,
Some places we got 3/4 of an inch in that time. I was disappointed over in J Street, there was grass everywhere in the streets and little bits of sticks and everything. Plugged some of the catch basin inlets, we scraped the debris away and it went down. But that was disappointing where we just separated sewers, but at least it was stormwater on the road and not something worse. And we've had a number of calls about basement backup, so next meeting, I'm sure I'll have a bunch of applications for those.
But as a reminder to the public, something we've learned, when you get that much rain in a short amount of time, it will take a little bit of time, but the water will drain.
Absolutely, the storm sewer systems are designed to handle a 10-year storm. So if you have a 100-year storm, you're gonna have some ponding and then it'll go away. You can't really design to a 100-year storm and afford it. You know what we spent on the letters and numbers project, can you imagine if the pipes would be so much larger? So they're always designed to have some surface ponding briefly in a really extreme event.
What is the definition of a 10-year storm?
It's a statistical thing. This storm would statistically come once every 10 years. And a 100-year storm would only come once every 100 years, except we get them much more frequently now. So they need to adjust the tables, and we need to decide how forward we're looking in designing storm sewer systems.
But we think the J Street is not a problem, it's just cleaned up that was needed.
Yep.
Okay. Tucker King and, I'm sorry, Mark, go ahead.
I actually have had a couple questions about like lake levels. Do you know offhand or have that info on where the lakes are at?
We were, before the storm, I haven't looked this morning, before the storm yesterday, we were at 798.1. We tend to start taking water out at 798. We've been taking water out now for 2.5, 3 months. And we haven't run the system full bore because we're just kind of running at 798. Now is the time of year I'd say let's stop taking water out. But with that rain last night, we'll probably continue for a little bit. Because the big, we can take water out all the time, but you can't add water in.
Right.
So
Okay, thank you.
Jerry, what's it get down to in the summer? Like, as it warms up, do we lose water?
we have been, yes, and you can easily lose 6-8 inches in a summer. And for some weird reason, for the last about almost a decade, we've just had the right conditions where it's been too much rain and not too little, and we've been able to ride at a nice level, and people have gotten used to that really nice level, and when it gets low, we're gonna hear about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've just been lucky, I think.
Tucker King, engineering.
As Tim indicated, it's the start of construction season, so we're getting a lot of building permits into the department, trying to process things as they come in, finish projects up. Today we have some stuff about finishing up some sidewalk projects, so excited to get to talk about it.
Clerk Treasurer Barthone. Nick Otis.
Just an item on the agenda later.
And we seem to be getting close on 39 North with the water. We can't move forward until we have the finalized agreement of rates and so forth with 39 North. And I think hopefully that'll be completed this week maybe. Jeff Batchelor could not be here for code enforcement. I would just say we've had tremendous amount of calls, those with high grass, those with different issues of RVs out and everything. And, our team is very much behind because there is so much. And we will get to it, but we really need the public's help, support, if they want to volunteer grass cutting companies to come and help us get the high grass down and do some other things. Mike Fraze is helping out with street department. I also want to remind everybody the medians is a state responsibility, and they've only decided that they're going to cut 3 times a year. That's unacceptable in our mind. You know, we're doing our part to have low grass, and then they have those medians up 3 and 4 inches. You know, it's difficult, but we're gonna get there, but we gotta think of new ways to do things to meet that spotless standard that we want, so.
You know, I think too, I come off of Kingsbury every day, and when that wasn't mowed, it's hard to sometimes see vehicles.
Absolutely. And I think we had one of the residents down by that area go out and cut it himself. So I think that brings on another issue
that
of
legal?
legal, you know.
Yeah, they can do it, it's just, you're on a highway, and that's very high grass, it's not a regular mower, it's tough to tackle.
Truly is. So,
A quick question, Jerry, like so on J Street, was that issue from like clippings from yards in the street?
Lots of grass clippings were in the yard, or in the street. And there was also, because of that intense wind we got, there was all sorts of twigs and debris off the trees.
Combination?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
It'd be nice if the public, if they know they have a storm drain in front of their house, I mean, just to look at it. There's a lot of them in the city. It takes us a long time to get around to them all, and it's simple as just pulling that up off the storm drain so it can drain. And don't blow your clippings
grass out into the
into the
street.
street.
For sure.
I have one and they get clogged up fast. It doesn't, well, and especially, I'm sure everybody's mowing a couple times a week right now, so it doesn't take long.
And we
Yeah.
might do a video with Jess out in front and showing people how to do it.
I know how to do
How
it.
easy it is.
That's right.
Chief Buell, Police.
We have offered Ryland Doolin a conditional offer of employment. He'll be starting out as a probation officer and will attend the academy at some point in the future.
Chief
So I-
Snyder.
Nothing this morning, thank you.
Bert Cook, Leap.
Trophy.
Thank you again for your efforts last week. Mike Frey, Streets.
We're out patching, pothole free. We're removing a tree out at the golf course that came down. It's in bad leaning from last night's storm. Doing sidewalks over in Rumney and Scott, and then trimming and mowing.
And thank you for all the help with Beechwood and other areas with streets. Also, Mr. Batchelor is working with the sheriff to bring those that are in jail out as a part of the program to help clean up some of the sidewalks as well.
Nice.
Thank you, Mike. Jess Spoljaric. Andrea Smith, HR. I would also like to point Phil Grashowski, he's here on behalf of Code. I don't know if he'd like to add some things, but Phil has set that standard for everybody. Phil, please come forward. And I want to thank him for his time here at the city. He's off to help us with the Visitors Bureau and promote events here, but Phil took the job of code enforcement very serious, making sure people on the west side cut the grass, and when not, was willing to have that direct conversation, and you will definitely be missed.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I was supposed to talk today on the lawns and stuff, but you took it away from me.
But go ahead, because
No,
you see
no,
it.
no, you
I'll be
covered it.
talking to you in about an hour about if I still see some more high grass.
You know, it's hard enough to get the people to cut their lawn, let alone to tell them to not put the stuff out in the street. It's really, really a difficult challenge between, well, the homeowners aren't the big problem. It's the 4 units, the out-of-state, out-of-country landlords. I could go on and on about it, but we're on it, and we just keep telling them, and you hit them in the pocketbook, I find that gets their attention. Talking to them doesn't do a whole lot of good, but you hit them in the pocketbook, they'll come around. But thank you for the opportunity to work for the city. I really, really had a good time. I took it very seriously, and I'll keep telling people. They'll think I work here. I'll just keep telling them. Cut your lawn. Thank you.
And Phil, as well, thank you in advance for transitioning even more of those funds from the Visitors Bureau from Michigan City to LaPorte. We're excited about that, so.
That's my number one goal.
Yes. Andrea Smith, HR.
She already.
Oh, she said nothing.
Report.
New business, request for use, Blue Sky Music Tunes. Sounds exciting.
So, Blue Sky would like to use the plaza to do a Friday afternoon, early afternoon concert, and they'll be looking for donations, and all the donations will be going to the Arts in the Park program. And then there's a second one, and that will be on a Saturday, more towards the late afternoon, and that's in coordination with the cruise night. They are not requesting anything be closed. They just want be able to use the electricity at the Plaza 618. And I
Motion.
do have their insurance on file. I just couldn't print it off for some reason.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Can't wait.
Nick Otis.
Thank you. Looking for a motion to proceed with eminent domain on parcels owned by DHS LLC. This is Spectrum Recycling, and it relates to the Tipton Street overpass. The address is 101 Park Street, and it's 3 separate parcels, actually, that DHS owns. This is not going to be a surprise to the property owner. We have been in negotiations with them for quite some time. One of the difficulties of, the city's done eminent domain on a few other matters over the years. The complexity of this is that you've got a business with very, very large equipment, and putting a value on that, we've just not been able to reach an agreement with Spectrum. And so we have to proceed with eminent domain. The state has already acquired parcels in that area, but I'm not privy to exactly the reason why, but the city has to proceed, the state has asked the city to proceed with this particular eminent domain. It's required necessary land for part of the overpass. We've already sent an offer required by statute, did that actually at the end of last year. So we just need this motion so that later today we will file this in court.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So the state has already acquired parcels. Have the parcels that they've acquired been through eminent domain?
No,
or have
I think they were easier to value, and they're buildings, right, versus like a business that, I mean, if you've ever been out to Spectrum, it's quite an operation. And so he's got very, very heavy equipment, and it's just been complicated. And then finding a location for his business, I think, has added some complexity to that. So typically, it's pretty easy on an eminent domain. You may disagree within a couple percentage points of what the value of a building might be or a house. This is just quite a bit more complex. We just haven't been able to reach an agreement. So this is the next step in the process in order to get this done, so.
Is there evaluation being done on the business?
No, we've had that done. We've had two of those that's required by statute. So, but in our experience, we had to do eminent domain as part of the Chessie Trail. We had to do it as a part of, is it Madison Street, the street that runs through where the Kroger Shopping Center, to reorient the street. Every time we've done it, we've been able to quickly reach a resolution after we've done this.
And if there's anybody that needs to be held accountable, it's me. I worked with the recycling Spectrum, and no one wanted to, I did not want to do eminent domain. I thought we could come to an agreement, but the numbers are too far apart of what the assessment is of the business and what the owner obviously wants, and I'm accountable because I don't like the eminent domain process, but we're now to that point where this needs to move forward, so, and the state needs to move forward, and any delay, further delay would become a problem.
And the state has been helpful. There's a relocation specialist that they have that can help with Spectrum's relocation costs. I mean, it's substantial to move. I'm not talking about movable, equipment with wheels. This is like scales and other things that move the metal, move the scrap. It's a big business.
How long is this process gonna take?
It could be very quick. It could be months. So he has an attorney. We've already, like, we're trying to work towards a resolution, and I've told the attorney, and they understand, like, this is just the next step in the process, so.
Okay.
So the value of the business, there's been some ability to value the business.
Correct.
It's
We've
really
had-
the
we've had to-
property piece.
No, it's all of it, right? So it's the business and how that may be impacted by the move, right? Like, I think, and I'm not being critical at all of the owner, I think it's a difficult thing to move all of this. I think he likes where he's at, and it's, people know that that's where it's at, right? And so we've tried, there's not a lot of places that fit his business within the city limits without being critical of, like, I mean, it's a scrap metal business, right? So,
And there's that value, a difference in value of what we think it'll take to move and where and what that costs. And again, it comes back to when we look at businesses in the future, you know, should we have a feed manufacturer up right along the trail like we do right there on the backside of Detroit? And should we have a salvage yard right in the middle of some of that housing as well? And that's why we have to be very careful when we're putting businesses into our community, and where do they belong? And so I think we need to address that. If we want our downtown to be walkable, enjoyable, you can't put manufacturers right in the middle of that.
So would you say this has been a somewhat cordial process with the
yeah,
owner?
yeah, I mean, it's
about
just a disagreement on
dollar
value,
amount.
right, yeah. The owner has been fine to deal with, it's just a difference of opinion on, and so, once we file the eminent domain, you know, if we can't reach a quick agreement, there are additional appraisals that go on within that process as well, so.
I'm more curious why the city's been tasked with this rather than the state.
I don't know
I
that.
will speak more to that. I think that was a discussion between NDOT and the city of LaPorte, that the city decided to be a part of that with this and felt like maybe we could get a deal done. And unfortunately, it hasn't come to that. And also, it all has to fall in with funding and the process of what funds we get, what funds could be used to have a negotiation with Spectrum. And it's been quite a process, to say the least, because this is a big project, and what funding will come to us versus what will go to Spectrum was very important.
It's also, you know, getting this overpass done, and I won't belabor the point, but this is part of the quiet zone. This is how we got the quiet zone. It's emergency as well, right? Officer, fire, police can get to things on that side of town. They can plan that they can go over that overpass versus is there going to be a train there, that type of thing. So, and I think it's a great thing for the residential in that area, right, to have Spectrum not there anymore ultimately. So.
Okay.
So I do have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Oh, can I ask one more quick
Please.
question? Regarding that state relocation, so the state then assists in finding an appropriate location?
Well, costs. We're probably more knowledgeable on location options, right, Bert, than the state would be. You know, the local options, that whether it's in the city or outside the city, they're not gonna know that as well, but there are state and federal funds available for relocation costs that they're helping with.
Right, okay.
But the majority of it will be paid for will most likely have to be paid for by the city. And we think this business, as for an example, in some of our negotiations, have felt like Kingsbury would be a great place. But their customer base is all here. They don't want to drive to Kingsbury, the concern for that. But do we want to duplicate the same situation from the past by putting it somewhere here in the city? We have to clean up the Teledyne building, so that's an option. But if we're gonna clean that up and look for future development there, do we wanna put a recycling company
Right
in
next
the
to another
back there?
residential neighborhood as well,
In
right?
front of Tucker's house, right there, which he's excited about, you know, by putting that there. So there's a lot of moving parts, very difficult. And we've looked at all options from Kingsbury to Fail Road to, obviously Teledyne. And you have to be respectful of the homeowners and people that are living. It's been unique.
Yeah. grew up in that neighborhood. I've used Spectrum a lot, so it's yeah, definitely an issue. But kind of to the point that was brought up, right? This is about the big picture and the long-term overall safety, quiet zones, appropriateness of the businesses within the neighborhood, and it all makes sense, as uncomfortable as it is for the owner.
And he's been very good to work with.
Yeah, but I mean, it sounds like the negotiations are trying to make him whole wherever he is placed or relocated. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you ever make him whole, but he has been willing. Again, I'm not sure how much he wants to keep the business going in the future. And so, you know, these are all discussions he's been willing to meet and been very honest with his opinions.
Okay. Well, we appreciate that.
Fund conveyance amendment.
I can try to speak to this. Darren Sherman from NERPC asked that we bring this in front of Board of Works. This is an amendment, and it's just an amendment to the period of performance for transit grant through NERPC. It's federal operating assistance funds. This is for grant number IN 2020-014. The only thing that's being amended are the dates. Extends the period of performance date for operating assistance. So we're asking for approval on amendment number 2.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
What was the original end date?
I'm not sure, that's in my office, but it started, it says extended beginning December 31st, 2021. This is normal through transit, or through NERPC through transit. If we still have grant money and the grant period ends, we just have to amend the grant date so we can use the rest of those funds. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Beth West wasn't at the last meeting. I would like to congratulate her on her new position. She had left transport, and we're excited. We've got some real quality people at transport. What I can tell you is transport will be here for the long term. It's important to our seniors. It's important to our low-income people. We are committed to making it happen. And I think you've heard us talk about that. Courtney and I have worked very closely with transport, that, hey, under the taxes, the tax caps, and where we are with funding, we have to be responsible, just like every resident does, to not spend more than we have coming in. And when we're spending $158,000 more for that department, we had to make we had to rethink how we're doing things. And one of the things we're doing is investing more into our drivers, investing more into our dispatch. We need to have a better system in place, and we're excited. I mean, this is going to be the premium transportation system for our residents as we move forward. And our drivers, we're hiring more. We're hiring some more dispatchers, many at part-time, which is good for us. And I think you're going to see transport continue to improve and get better. Mark Schreiber.
So I believe you do have the agreement in front of you from the CVB. This is something we've done. I believe it's been about 9 years now since we came to this agreement with the CVB, where they pay a portion of the Civic Auditorium Director's salary. I believe it's right around 30%. It's been a very beneficial thing for the CVB in that they're invested in the Civic Auditorium, and now that's even expanded out to city events. That position has done, obviously we've done great things in expanding the number of offerings at the Civic, the things we do downtown, around the city. And then also, the Civic Auditorium Director does CVB duties as well. He attends their meetings. He's very engaged with what's going on there, which I think only benefits LaPorte. The more we're engaged with the CVB, the better. So it's been a good arrangement, and we're pleased to continue it.
And Mark, just an add-on item that I heard you mention in a meeting, since Brett's focus with the Civic Auditorium to have more events and so forth. You've reduced the property tax reliance on the Civic from what amount to what amount?
We've cut it to about 1/4 of what it was just a few years ago. So I think at its max, it was around $290,000. This year now, it's around $70,000. So we've cut it to 1/4 of what it was just maybe 4 or 5 years ago. That's by doing a lot of events ourselves, promoting something that we just got into within the last 4 years. But it's been very positive. And, you know, rather than that money going out to other promoters, other parties, we'll be able to retain that. But also, you know, we've also opened our doors to more promoters wanting to come in because they've seen the success of our concerts, which has been a very big positive. We continue to do all the fundraisers there that we've always done, which are positive events for us. So, yeah, it's been a great thing for the city to get less reliance from the Civic on tax dollars.
So basically, you're saying like at its peak, maybe a few years back, the city property taxes would go, $290,000 would go to support whatever is going on at the Civic or is not going on, doesn't matter,
Would
right?
go into the Civic budget, yeah, to support whether it's salaries, utilities, whatever it may be. Now we've been able to shift a lot of those costs to the Civic's non-reverting fund. So the money we're earning at the Civic Auditorium is paying for
back.
about 3/4 of what its budget is.
So even with, like, obviously the additional offerings of concerts and events, which has gone, I mean, really gone ballistic, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Able to like cut the tax needs of the Civic from the property, or the city, you know, basically from the city's taxes.
Correct,
Down to
yeah.
70,000, okay.
Yeah, and that was the goal. And, you know, we've worked hard to get there. Certainly, a lot more challenging, for the staff there, but, it's been a great success, and, we're gonna continue to grow. We're shooting for over $1 million in revenue this year, which again is up threefold over what it was just a few years back.
But aside from the savings in taxes and the increase in revenue, you've also improved the quality of life for the citizens around LaPorte County. And, I mean, I've been to a number of them and it's just a great time.
Absolutely. And again, the things we've done, as well as the investment and the renovations there, I mean, that's created the viability for the Civic Auditorium for years to come. And there's residual benefits too. If you talk to a lot of the downtown restaurants, and nights where we have concerts at the Civic, they see those concert goers stopping there for dinner. If they're going to concerts in St. Joe County or Porter County, they're gonna have dinner in Porter County or St. Joe County or up at the casino or whatever it may be. So when we keep those entertainment dollars in LaPorte, we're keeping those dollars, you know, that spreads around. And so we've seen that as well.
And even
great.
Carmelo Anthony coming into town and having dinner at Enzo's, which made Chip, the owner, made his night. And also, if you haven't seen on Saturday, thanks to the great work that Mark Schreiber and Brett Benversi has done with the Civic, front page of the Northwest Times was a great article on the Civic and its future. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, congratulations to the entire Civic team, and they're doing a great job there. And we're excited for summer concerts. You know, with the new air conditioning in the main seating area, we're able to actually host events throughout the summer, whether they be weddings or whatever it might be. But we definitely have concerts in the Civic Auditorium this year, and it'll be a nice, comfortable seating condition, and they'll be able to sit in those beautiful balcony seats, and it's going to be a good thing.
I do have a motion. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mark. Bert Cook.
Good morning to the Board of Public Works. Bert Cook, Executive Director of the LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership. So I have a memo of understanding in front of you this morning. Mayor Dermody pulled together a group of individuals, including Janet Block of the Lebesnick Center, Craig Phillips, myself, Julie West, and asked that we consider some art-related initiatives in our downtown for this summer. So you're more than likely going to see a series of these type of MOUs before you, but the first one that I have today is regarding a sculpture in Plaza 618. So the MOU was drafted by Anthony Novak in Nick Otis's office. It's similar to one that Michigan City has used in the past. I am pleased to share that the LaPorte Urban Enterprise Association agreed to fund both this initiative and the other two art-related initiatives that we're looking at for future dates in the summer. So they are shouldering the cost of this. But we do ask the Board of Public Works to approve and allow Craig Phillips in the planning office to sort of coordinate the installation of this. Just to give you a couple high-level pieces out of this agreement. So it is, the artwork that you see is what would be installed at Plaza 618. It's valued at $10,000. It would be installed onto the foundation that currently there and the Christmas tree is supported by in the wintertime. So the artist is required to install and remove the art, but during the 2-year window, our team will remove it when we place the Christmas tree, so for the Christmas season, which I think is November through January. Ultimately, it's $3,000, $1,500 up front and $1,500 upon completion that will be paid to the artist. Janet Block in the Lebesnick Center made all of the arrangements, found multiple artists that have these type of sculptures. So that team was able to select the piece that they felt best fit with our downtown. And we appreciate Janet and the Lebesnick Center team for working through that with us. Happy to answer any questions you might have related to this.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, and I'd like to thank Janet Block from Lebesnick Center. I mean, she has been phenomenal. You know, she has spent most of her time in Michigan City. She's now coming to LaPorte to help develop our quality of life, culture, and I think this is a great start. So, does Craig have anything to add?
Thanks to the UEA as well.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll add is, having been involved in similar efforts in Michigan City, basically, we work with LEAP to lease this, the sculpture, and we have the option of continuing to lease it after that term's up, or switching it out for another sculpture if we want.
That's cool.
So we had already installed a pad for this in the past, and so that's already in place, and yeah, we just need to finalize the installation. So should be relatively straightforward and a nice addition to the plaza. So.
And I think the great thing about this is when Indiana Avenue begins, its reconstruction, we're gonna have detours for the trucks. People are gonna feel more apt to walk around, make it more walkable downtown. I think we can maybe do some things while we have some control with the trucks being removed to make it even more walkable outside everybody's comfort level. And this could be a lot of fun while Indiana's down for a while. So
And that, so it'll be removed though to put in the Christmas tree? Is that?
We can, yes. I mean, we're responsible for making those provisions ourselves, if we want, if we want to do that. So, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I mean, the artist is from Iowa, so I think it would be less than convenient to expect him to come back and forth, so our street department will remove it
yeah.
November through January.
Yeah, we would just have to make those arrangements to remove it and place it again ourselves.
And we're not responsible for any liability. It looks like the artist is responsible for all of that. Does that include when we're moving it around?
It does not. Installation and removal is our liability.
Okay.
So if we take it down for the Christmas tree, we have to make sure we keep it intact and in good shape when we do so, and then put it back up according to the agreement.
Wonderful.
I do have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Tucker King.
Hi, so I'm bringing forward the pay application for sidewalks. This is for our 2023 sidewalk program, 88 and 50/50. We've been making good progress so far. Pavey Excavating has the contract, and this is about, I would say, almost 95% of all that will be paid for out of it. So it looks like about $175,000, and it covers all of our 50/50, so 50/50 will be done after this, and all but one of our ADA projects.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. One of the questions I have, the 50/50,
Yes.
how are we on a list? Is there a list?
So as people have been calling in requesting more information, I've been compiling a contact list essentially. So I'm hoping that now that we're closing this out, well, we're not closing it out yet, but once we get this closed out, I'm hoping to open up another round of 50/50 towards the end of July, mid-August time.
So we're caught up.
We're caught up with the previous people who have already paid. So we are starting to, I'll be looking for more applicants, and I'll be reaching out to the people who have contacted me already to do so.
And I would tell you, we inherited a mess, I think, when we took over, of who had money in, 50/50, who was supposed to receive. Tucker's really simplified that, thank you, and sidewalks are getting done.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And then Tucker King, pay application for letters and numbers, CCMG closeout, and I think Jerry will be along the ride here.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean on Jerry a little bit for this one. It looks to me, though, that this is the closeout for the letters and numbers construction project, so.
There's 3 items. The first is change order. This is change order number 1, the first one. And if you look at it, it's a unit contract, unit quantity contract. So this is all we installed a few more feet of pipe or a few less feet of pipe, more. This is evening up all the quantities that were actually built as opposed to what's on the plan. There were 17 quantities where we overran and 8 where we were less. So it actually lessened the value of the contract. All told, it comes out to an adder for $80,099.20. That's a 3% overall increase in the contract price. Not really, that's, well within contingency, so not too bad. Especially when you're working in an old part of town where you don't know what you're gonna find when you dig. So I'd recommend approval of the change order number 1 for the letters and numbers project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Pay request number 12 takes the job to 100%. The net pay request 13 just releases some retainage. Pay request number 12 is in the amount of $660,671.56. And as I said, that's 100% now. I'd recommend approval.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion. And I would tell everything that I've seen on the letter and number streets completed looks great. I think and I know it's been tough on the homeowners, but I think it looks great. It was much needed. Now we have updated infrastructure, especially in an area where we have basement backups in the past from old infrastructure.
Yep. And there'll be the Indiana Avenue's the next sewer separation project, and we got B Street and further areas north of it. So this kind of thing just keeps marching as we go along. The last is pay request 13, and that zeroes out the contract. That's $138,649.49. I recommend approval.
So we haven't passed the last motion for.
Oh, I'm sorry.
12, so can we? So can we amend that motion to include pay 13 as well?
Sure, motion amended.
Second.
So I do have an amended motion and an amended second. Also, just to know, I mean, we had a sinkhole up here in front of the Civic Auditorium. And just last week, I think, right after prom. So the reason this infrastructure is being done, we've got a lot more work to do, and it's never ending. So just want everybody to be aware we're making progress, but we're not settling. We've got more work to do, and we were serious when we said we have a $100 million issue from infrastructure that's 100 years old. And they've done phenomenal engineering, water, wastewater. Everybody has been amazing to get all this work done, so
That's been a really nice part of the letters and numbers. It was it was road, street, water, sanitary, storm. It was the whole, across the board. Really nice to get it done in that fashion.
So we'll be able to get to Ice Street Meats this weekend for Memorial Day.
Drive straight there.
I drove through there this morning, I see they're painting the lines on I Street today, finishing them up. It does look nice, and the parking, stripping is done too, so.
Wonderful.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Chief Buell.
Yes, I would ask the board to approve the letter of resignation from Kyle Paraki, a patrolman that was with us a short period of time, but once his insurance kicked in, he realized that it wasn't fitting his family's needs, so he had to move on.
That's too bad.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. And one of the things I would say is it's a long drive. He was driving over an hour one way.
Yes, I think mostly it was his family's needs that had to be met, and we certainly understand that. I could just wish he would have checked into that prior to going through the process, but
Right.
that's what we deal with.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force Agreement.
I would also request the board to approve this $4,000 grant from the feds that goes to our drug task force. It helps to pay overtime of our 2 officers that are working some specific cases right now.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion?
Appreciate the
Yeah.
opportunity to utilize some federal funds for that.
You bet.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Jessica Splorchek. Spoljaric. Gosh darn.
Good morning, Board. I'll be brief. Before you, you have an independent contractor agreement for Lindsay Kneifel from LEAP. Lindsay has graciously agreed to provide some coverage for the comms office while I'm out on leave at the end of this summer. So the details of the contract are in there. I mean, I can go over any questions you might have, but I would ask for your approval.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, and Lindsay does great work. We will definitely miss Jess, but we wish her the best, and she's a wonderful part of our team, and we just wish you well.
Thank you.
Is it because the mayor can't pronounce your name?
That's part of it.
I figured as much.
It's terrible. I come up with every last name except the right one.
Yeah.
Practice later, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Craig Phillips.
I think we've got these, right? I think we
I
have
thought-
these, right? There are additional pieces in here?
The pictures of all.
Yeah, let me see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's good
That's
just to
okay,
have
yeah.
them here.
Okay.
Better safe than sorry.
Annette's on it, man.
All right. So the first item on my list of requests is permission to apply for zoning approvals related to a housing project for the Scottfield property. Essentially what this consists of is the need to apply for some developmental standards variances for setbacks, lot widths, that sort of thing, to allow for the construction of homes that would be focused on providing low to moderate income housing opportunities on the Scottfield property in conjunction with a not-for-profit developer known as Advantix Corporation, which is a development arm of the Evansville Housing Authority, as a partner with us. We are looking at placing up to 45 affordable housing units in 3 different locations in the city, and this is one of them. You previously approved 2 other locations, as you recall. So this is a similar request, and basically would allow me to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals and request the variances needed. Essentially, if you look at the map that I gave you, you can see the generalized layout of what these would look like, and we've done this in a manner, so we've been working with Advantix to lay these out in a manner so that they're very similar to the existing homes along Jefferson and Holcomb, so that kind of it's just an extension of the existing neighborhood as much as possible. We chose to put single-family homes on this property as opposed to townhomes because we thought it would be a better fit for the neighborhood. And we really feel like this is going to be a stabilizing factor for the neighborhood as well. We're going to be retaining the playground portion of Scott Field. We have previously requested and received approval of this from the Park Board last week, and appreciate that. So it's my understanding that since this property was at one point conveyed to the city from the Park Board, if I'm not mistaken, there was a transition at some point in the past, that this is city-owned property, requires both the approval of the Park Board as well as the Board of Works. So that's the request. I'm happy to, and you have some pictures of examples of the types of housing that Advantix builds that are single-family kind of cottage style in nature for the most part. Happy to answer any questions you have. Excited about this, hopefully moving this project forward.
And because we have wonderful park area, if Mr. Schreiber wouldn't be, mind coming up in your support of this, because we're really not eliminating any of the used park space that the kids actually play in their area.
Correct. So until probably about a few years ago, this was land that we leased from the school corporation for $1 a year, one of those 99-year lease type things. There was a property swap. This became city property, thus went into effect that we owned all of the park, and it became a full city park property. We'd look at, for years, at, how could we potentially develop the portion of it that is behind the housing off of Jefferson Avenue. It's hidden away right now. There isn't much usage for it. We didn't really want to develop it because no frontage. It was difficult to see. The risk of vandalism or bad actors was there. But it is important to us to retain the portion that you can see from Jefferson. So basically, if you go by Jefferson, if you look straight back, what you see will be retained as a park. The rest will have new infrastructure put in and potentially become residential. So the Park Board has been supportive of this. This is one of the things that was suggested and came out of the Notre Dame charrette. To this point, the Park Board has been 100% supportive of the idea of transferring a portion that you see of the property for infill development.
And I'll tell you, Mr. Phillips has worked. He is truly a housing expert. Advantix is a great thing, and this is the one, correct? That would be a homeowner or a renter could pay 15 years rent.
Yeah,
and then
lease
would own-
lease purchase.
Lease purchase.
Yep. So over a course of 15 years, if the renter remains in good standing in terms of their payments and contract with Advantix, they can own the unit ultimately. So the idea here is basically that the zoning of the city in significant areas of the city does not allow for the construction of what actually exists in the neighborhoods that the zoning is in. So for example, the houses along Jefferson Street, Holcomb Street, that are 35 to 40 foot wide lots could not be rebuilt without variances today. And so we're just looking to be able to build the same type of pattern that exists there and allow for the variances necessary to make that happen. We're also going to be taking a look at, as part of the comprehensive plan process, we're going to be taking a look at substantial suggestions for modifications to the zoning to allow this to happen more readily in the future than other parts of the city as well, so that zoning more closely matches what's actually on the ground.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Sorry, go ahead, Jess.
I was just gonna ask, are these going to be built according to the buyer's choice or the renter's choice?
I
Are
think there
these
might
all
be some
more like-
selections as far as finishes and things like that, but generally speaking, these are gonna be units that are chosen by Advantix, and they did also commit that they're going to market these to veterans. They're gonna make efforts to make sure that we market these to veterans. I know that's something that Mark and I have been discussing all along, and they would hope to partner with other veterans organizations to, get the word out that these are available as well.
So two questions. One, so just kind of stylistically, I wondered why there's sort of like the street, you pull into the back, and it appears as though sort of the front of the house faces, I mean, it's nice, it looks like a little parking area.
Essentially, it's
like,
an
right?
alley on the east and south sides of the site, and then Allen Street extended would kind of dead end into the park. So the street will dead end, it turns into an alley and wraps back around. So basically, we're just kind of creating a dual loaded alley in the back with the addition of these units along with the homes that are on Jefferson. So it's not really a street per se, as much as really more of an alley. So the homes would face onto a green, basically a leftover open space that would be a green in kind of a cottage-style development. I think you're gonna see more of this in the city in the future, more creative development types. People are looking to, provide for housing in different ways with different layouts. And this is this pretty closely matches the concepts that were put together by Notre Dame for creating a cottage court style of development. So, yeah, from the Notre Dame charrette final document that was developed.
Okay. And last question, timing, like what are you?
So we are working with Advantix for them to apply by July 31st for what are called low-income housing tax credits through the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, and they will find out whether or not they receive those credits in November. So this would be for 2025 construction, beginning in 2025.
And what's the price range gonna be for these?
That I don't know off the top of my head, but it will be within, they'll be within low and moderate income levels in terms of the units, and the subsidies will offset the cost of the units, basically. So it's a little bit more complex because it's a low-income housing tax credit project. It's not a straightforward mortgage type of, situation. These are, again, lease purchase, so I don't know those prices off the top of my head yet.
But uniquely, this year, LaPorte fares very well in low-income tax credits where we don't.
Yes.
And we haven't in the past.
I may have mentioned that, but basically they've restructured the program, the low-income housing tax credit program, to favor smaller communities. So we're not having to compete as much from a scoring standpoint with the Indies, the Evansvilles, the Fort Waynes, the larger Kokomos, the larger, communities that are often getting these credits. So the Advantix came to us because they identified that. They're very well versed in understanding that program. They were awarded 3 projects last year, one of which is in nearby South Bend. So they know this program and this process very well, and they came to us and thought we were a perfect fit for this because of this new kind of restructuring of the program possibly for 1 year only, and again, another reason why we're trying to jump on this and take advantage of the opportunity, so.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Zoning Board recommendations.
I'm up here a few times.
Hunter, you have 2 more. Hunter Woods preliminary plat.
Yeah. So we have a preliminary plat approval request for Hunter Woods, which is the project that will introduce new housing units in the form of single-family townhome and apartment units in what we've kind of been referring to as the Park Street Triangle that we annexed into the city last year. We've been working through the various steps necessary to get this project up and running. As you're aware, we previously signed a development agreement with this developer for the development and incentives related to that. So this is coming to you after having received preliminary plat approval from the Plan Commission at their last meeting. It's been reviewed by staff in both Community Development and Planning and the Engineering Department for compliance with zoning standards and development standards. So this will allow them to go forward with the preparation of the site and installation of all the public improvements, and then come back to you in the future for approval of the final plat. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those, but this approves basically this lays out the lot design, the location of roads, the location of utilities, and drainage for the development. So it's basically all the details of the development in this document that you're taking a look at right now, but happy to answer any questions.
If you don't mind adding, you and a team from the city of LaPorte went up to Michigan, reviewed the construction of the homes they've produced. Thoughts, if you could review?
Yeah, so I went, as well as members of the water department, wastewater department, and engineering department, to get a chance to tour not only the homes that they're planning on building, that they will be building in the Hunter Woods development, but to see what other products they offer for possible development in the future. Everything from single-family homes to patio style, or kind of the duplexes that you see in some of the developments around town, to townhomes, to apartments. So a variety of different product types. They build whole communities in some cases. So we met with and toured with both the developer and the developer's builder partner, and saw many of the homes that the builder partner builds. They built primarily in western Michigan, significantly around Grand Rapids, several communities around Grand Rapids, but they've also developed in a lot of other communities in western Michigan, and they're looking to branch into northwest Indiana. We are one of two first communities that they're looking at developing in northwest Indiana, so in northwest Indiana.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So that if I remember correctly, the two lots that are not included, those are current home sites?
Correct.
That are either on Severs or...
Yeah, they're carved out
right?
because they're not owned by the developer.
And so the target here is not low and moderate housing, this is...
These are market rate.
Okay.
I think that the target is for them to be attainable to the workforce. So we're hoping to get price points, reasonable, but these are market rate. These are not low to moderate income qualifying or focused housing units like in the case of what we're doing with Advantix.
Advantix or with Ivy Flats.
Or Ivy Flats, or Habitat for Humanity, or, a number of partners.
And the pieces that are not, like I think along, what is that, not Park Street or Severs, but the other, is that
100 West?
100 West, yeah. So there's kind of a big section there with nothing, is that just?
That's drainage.
Drainage? So
There's
it's
a
not
significant area of drainage on the western edge of the site, as well as within the center of the site. And then on the apartments to the northeast corner of the property, there's a combination of wetlands and drainage in that area as well.
Okay.
How many houses in total?
I believe it's 156, if I'm not mistaken, total units of various types. I believe it's 11 single-family, 94, 97,
96 townhomes.
96, I was close.
10 single-family.
96 townhomes, and then the remainder are apartment units on the east side of Park Street.
And when you look at the health foundation of LaPorte's housing study, you look at other housing studies, while this may seem like a lot, it's a drop in the bucket versus what is needed in our community.
Right, well, and really, so even just like today, so we've got low to moderate income housing targeted for the Scott Field property. You've got more kind of what I'm gonna, attainable, sort of call it mid-range, market-based. Got other things that the city is
We've got
working on
18th
for
Street, which
higher
is
end.
market rate.
I mean, that really meets the overall need, right? Because the study demonstrated that we had a need across all levels of income and housing values. And even though, I mean, we probably all hear sometimes people chatter about like, oh, it's like as if everything should go into low-income housing. That's not a long-term sustainable viewpoint, nor plan for a city like ours to be really a viable community. So, I mean, I think what we're doing is really fantastic, right? We're addressing all levels, which of course reduces the demand on the, let's say folks who have incomes up here that are buying homes here, putting pressure on the people who have lower, right? So it's gonna alleviate a lot of that. So all of this work. So
And we're gonna be focusing on identifying near downtown locations in the neighborhoods kind of east and west of, on the south side of downtown, east and west of Indiana Ave, to identify available lots, properties that are in need of, ultimately in need of demolition to rent, to put in new housing units on some of those sites. Those would also be focused on low to moderate income.
Okay.
So there, all across the spectrum, everything from 18th Street to, what we're doing with several of our not-for-profit housing developers for low to moderate income housing. And we'll be offering the, Beechwood property again soon as a result as well. And that's going to be that's going to be market-based as well.
And the hospital
Market
site.
rate. Sorry?
And the hospital
And the hospital
site.
site eventually will be, coming online, and that'll offer, a mixed-use opportunity along with residential clearly as part of that, so, yep.
But I don't want to forget what started on day one here at 701 Maple and all the current homes we have in LaPorte with code enforcement going out and saying, you're going to clean up these slums that you've been getting away with for years. And that should be considered as legitimate, clean, respectful housing for workforce and below that have been ignored for too long. And that's legitimate to available housing that now have those new standards.
So one additional question on this. So we've got 150-plus home sites, probably somewhere between 150 and 300 vehicles that will be driving down, whether it's Seavert or Park Street. And I think we probably all know Park Street is one of the poorer streets. I mean, I ride my bike down Park Street. It's horrific. Is there a plan, especially
believe we have
with the
plans.
overpass and this development, to improve Park Street as kind of a higher priority?
I believe that it's our priority to take a look at, in future rounds of community crossings, grant availability for paving to upgrade Park Street through that section. And we have reviewed, the traffic flow and the volumes, and we feel that the roadways that exist are adequate, but there need to be physical improvements made to some of those roads. So as far as numbers of lanes and things like that, those are adequate. But yes, it's our intention. I think Tucker can verify this, that we hope to, in the next round of funding, if I'm not mistaken, include Park Street in that community crossings grant application.
I think we talked about that a long time ago when talking about the overpass too. So, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Christo's Acres preliminary and final plat.
Yeah, and I will speak first, and then I think Bill Nelson is here, and the developer, or I'm sorry, the owner are here to add to this. But quite simply, in cases where we have requests like this, where there's a property that's just being split into two parcels, it's customary when there are not additional utilities and roadways and other public improvements involved to request both preliminary and final plat in the same meeting. So the Plan Commission heard both of these requests for preliminary and final plat at their last meeting. So this is a property that's at the corner of Rumley and Chestnut Streets. It kind of extends just to the south of that, butts up against the back of the cemetery. And currently there's one home on the property. There's a plan for providing for an additional home, and there's an easement that's provided to provide access through a shared driveway that's wide enough basically for two cars to pass, to access that off the intersection of Rumley and Chestnut. And so it's a pretty simple and straightforward request, just splitting one large parcel into two parcels, both of which are clearly buildable and meet setback requirements and all the other standards. So I would ask Bill Nelson to join me if he has any additional comments he'd like to make.
I've caught wind that there's going to be a legal challenge filed later this week challenging the vote tallies, the point tallies of the LEAP Olympics. But I digress.
I was like, oh my gosh, I thought you were talking about this. And I thought
you were talking about this too.
Wow, the drama was building.
Over the last 30-plus years, I've appeared in front of the Board of Public Works numerous times. I've had the opportunity to come to know all of you in various walks of life. One relationship dating back to the early 80s at a pristine ball field at 10th and I, named after the father of our park department head. But for the record, my name is Bill Nelson. I'm with Brady Nelson and Janes. I'm here today representing Velada Properties LLC. Velada Properties is the title owner of this parcel at 1506 Rumley Street. The owner behind Velada Properties is John Christo Dulakis, who is here with me today. John is a restaurateur, comes from a family that you probably all, excuse me, know here in our community. John is also an up-and-coming real estate developer. And this is one of John's kind of initial forays into real estate development. He acquired this property at 1506 Rumley. The home on it now is already a fully updated, remodeled rental unit. What John's plan here is to, on the parcel that we want to divide off, his plan is to build a brand-new, high-quality rental unit. Kudos to the city, the leadership teams for the foresight to take an aggressive initiative to improve the existing housing and create new housing opportunities. I've had the good fortune to be involved in several of those projects, including the Hunter Woods projects that you just approved, and I'm happy to see that you approved that, and that's a wonderful project. I think you're gonna see a guy like John in the future, wanting to continue to come before the city and with projects to offer good quality housing. As Mr. Kozier said, we need housing at all levels, right? From high-end housing, luxury living, to affordable housing, and we need rental units. John is offering on this project an opportunity to create one or two more high-quality rental units. You know, we talk about dropping a bucket on the housing needs. This might be a mist, right? But it's a quality developer with a community oriented developer who is one of us here in the city of LaPorte that wants to be a part of helping fill that need. This project was given approval and recommendations at the preliminary and final plat stage last week in front of the Plan Commission. The infamous Jim Kyle, as you see on the drawings, is the surveyor we worked with to create both the plats. We worked with the City Planning Department, and I'd like to thank them, the City Planning Department, Mr. Phillips, Mr. Heinold. I work with them a lot on the projects I do within the city here. They're always a pleasure to work with, as they were on this project. Since we did make a full presentation to the Plan Commission that approved it, I'll just give you this 30,000-foot level and stop at this point. But if you have specific questions, I'll do everything I can to answer them. And again, John is here if you got any questions for John. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, you had one question regarding the cemetery.
Is that, I'm trying to picture this particular location. Is cemetery right? I don't know if
Right
it's.
to the east.
Right, okay.
It's kind of it is right to the east. It's kind of a bog area.
Weird kind of lower area that's
Yeah.
not actually the cemetery, but it's the cemetery property.
Yeah.
Got, okay. Oh, because the entrance is further that direction to the
Yeah.
north, yeah.
You could comfortably get two more houses on, it's a pretty large parcel, so.
I'll speak to that. We were asked that at the Plan Commission meeting last week too, because I think there was enough interest in the project to say, hey, why not do two? We can't. The topography is such, it drops off. There would have to be an enormous amount of fill. I mean, we'd have to get,
The southern end is that a continuation of that same low area of the cemetery, basically.
yeah.
And Bill, I think the concerns of the neighbor behind were answered at the Plan Commission.
Yeah, there was one individual spoke during public comment last week. She was not against the project. She just simply indicated that she and her husband plan to sell their property soon, and they were concerned about when construction might start. Just from the standpoint of, when there's construction going on, they were concerned how it might affect, saleability. I would also offer her to consider the possibility that when someone comes to purchase or look at their home for purchase and they see that quality new construction is going on behind, there might be an uptick as well. We're talking about a traditional neighborhood, right? One of those of which several of us rode our bikes through as kids on our way to the Civic or to the candy shop or riding across over to Clark Field to play t-ball against the Schreiber gang. This is going to be a brand-new home in an old neighborhood. I mean, how cool is that? There's not many opportunities for that. I assure you, John will build something that fits in. He's not going to build in something that stands out, that would be obtuse and obnoxious in a traditional neighborhood. But it is. It's an opportunity to take an old neighborhood And again, he's already a remodeled home on there, a new home, taking an old neighborhood and adding a splash of new life. It's a great opportunity, and again, a small part of solving the housing issues here, but he's happy to be that small part right now and hopes to be a bigger part in the future.
John, thank you for your continued investment of yourself, your family, and we talk about it all the time, one house at a time. So, thank you. Further questions? All in
I'll
favor?
just comment, I was in Austin, Texas over spring break, and you saw this type of infill happening in older areas of Austin where they'd put 2 units in much smaller areas than even this, so it's great to see development in this part of town.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Bert Cook, Whispering Meadows, or,
Or Nick, one of us.
I thought it
I'll
was
have Bert, yep.
Same as last night, correct?
Yeah, so we have two different items here. The portion that will speak to is the development agreement for Whispering Meadows. Matter of protocol here, the Board of Public Works is not a signer on this agreement, but as with previous projects that we've used ARP funds, we present to both the council and the Board of Public Works in an effort to keep you up to date and aware of existing agreements that are moving forward. So this agreement is with Mitch Ficus Builders. You've seen a very similar agreement when we did 701 Maple, so I won't go through the entirety of it, but I did want to summarize the main performance items for you. So this is Whispering Meadows Phase 8. Mitch Ficus Builders intends to build 38 new homes in this development, a minimum investment of $7.6 million. In order to help offset some of those costs and facilitate the development, the city has agreed to pay the tap fees and system development charges for those 38 new homes, as well as the building permit fees, and then potentially $59,000 to purchase new infrastructure supplies and materials. The above-mentioned incentives will not exceed $200,000 in totality. I know Mitch spoke at the city council meeting last night, eager to start and get moving as quickly as possible. Like many residential developers, he is up against high building costs, shortages of labor, interest rates, the very typical factors that we keep hearing over and over again. So the use of this incentive, I think, helps offset some of those challenges. And as I mentioned, to start, the plan is to use ARP funds for this incentive.
Bert, and I'm sorry, did you mention his investment?
7.6 million,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
a minimum
substantial,
investment.
yeah.
And I think the number will actually be north of that, but for the purpose of this agreement, it's 7.6.
Due to a business relationship, Member Romine will abstain. I will make the motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
It's great to see a continuance of that neighborhood.
We're appreciative of a local builder continuing to commit to our community.
Yeah, I don't want to belabor the point. We've had great discussion already this morning on the need for residential, so I won't go through that, but all of what was suggested earlier applies here as well. Different type of housing than some of the others we've seen, but much needed in our community.
And I think you'll continue in the future to see on agenda priorities. If you don't know housing isn't a priority in the city of LaPorte, you're missing something. So with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, and I think, Craig, I think we have a subdivision item to handle as well.
Would you like to add something to the agenda?
No, it's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda.
Which one?
Part of the same item.
Yeah,
Okay.
Phase 8.
Oh, just with the,
So I think, basically, you also should have received a copy of the final plat.
I did. You want it?
That's fine.
Okay.
So in this case, we're looking for approval of the final plat, contingent upon the provision of a letter of credit or some other commitment on the part of the developer for the installation, for a guarantee of the installation of the improvements that are included. And that those improvements be, there's a provision in the zoning ordinance that allows for this in the case that those improvements are made within a year. So we're looking for that, we're looking for that approval, again, contingent upon the letter of credit or a bond or surety or some sort of a form of guarantee that those improvements are going to be made. They've already been Some of those improvements have been begun to be installed, I believe. So we're just looking for that approval. The Plan Commission did approve this at their meeting last week, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Motion to approve?
You're not, and let me be clear, you're not accepting improvements today. You're just approving this so that the improvements can continue to be made according to those commitments, and that will allow Mitch and his company to continue to sell lots in the subdivision.
Motion to approve? Second. Member Romine, again, will abstain. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Is that complete? Mr. Phillips? Is that
That's it, yep.
Thank you. Unfinished business, remember, if you see, we need help from everybody to make our community reach that spotless level, and we're continuing to move forward with that. Also, Farmed and Forge, open Sunday. You can believe it, it is here, don't miss it. Extended street that we approved, and you'll see all types of vendors there. It should be a great opening day. And with that, do I have a motion to approve or to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Have a great day, everybody.